Not following the ship plus forming your own pirate group plus devil fruit+tricolor dominance+great swordsman, Luodi, who traveled to the world of the pirate king, inherited the fruit of the grim reaper that his predecessor had eaten. The power of the fruit is divided into two, with one part engraved in the soul and the other remaining in the body. When he knew that the demonic fruit power in the soul could be released, everything seemed to be starting to go wrong. The person who has also eaten the devil's fruit looked incredulous and said, "Even though everyone has eaten the devil's fruit, why does the sea tower stone have no effect on you? Does it have a special fondness for you?" Morgan personally interviewed, "Mr. Lodi, someone said they saw you jump into the sea and swim like a sea king a while ago. Is this true?" Kapu lifted his head and looked up at the sky at 45 degrees. He stopped eating the fairy shell in his hand and said, "At that time, his sickle was only 0.01 centimeters away from my fist. I still have lingering palpitations to this day." Luodi himself was very calm and said, "Everything should start from that small fishing village." At this moment, ACO walked over and hugged his arm, saying, "All right, Rodrigo, stop talking, I made you something delicious." Chapter 1. Smavenzi Lodi. You are listening at novel full.audio. In the year 1508 of the High Yuan calendar, it was the 10th year since the beginning of the Age of Pirates. Shihai. Podatan Island. On the border of the kingdom of Sitka, in a fishing village on the west coast, under the pale moonlight, the sleeping fishermen were unaware that a two-masted pirate ship was quietly approaching on the nearby coast. When the pirates cast their anchors into the sea, one after another pirate surged down from the ship, and an inevitable massacre and plunder became a foregone conclusion. Little ones, follow the rules. The Iron Hand Butcher, McCarthy, shouted to the crew behind him in his iconic rough voice. A height of 3 meters gives a strong sense of oppression. However, what caught the most attention was his sturdy right hand, covered in metal armor, which was twice the size of his left hand. Staring at the small fishing village just over 100 households ahead, his face showed a fierce light, and his eyes were filled with cruelty and brutality. Leave no survivors. This is the consistent style of the Iron Hand pirates. Due to their cruel behavior, there were few survivors in the area they passed by, and they ran away after killing them. Their whereabouts were elusive, so their bounty was already within the highest category in the West Sea. Captain McCarthy's bounty was as high as 4,500 million Bailey. "Boss, let's leave this to us. Let's go, brothers, start the fight." Mudun, after drifting at sea for 10 whole days, finally encountered an island. "Hey, this village looks very poor at first glance, I don't know if it can fill its stomach." "Don't mention it, if it weren't for that group of navies who, like crazy wild dogs, kept chasing us and wouldn't let us go, we wouldn't normally disdain to come and grab such a poor little place." Under the moonlight, the pirates broke open the door, and as soon as the sleeping fishermen woke up, they were greeted by deadly bullets and sharp knives. "What kind of people are you, ah?" Bang bang bang. "Damn pirate, I'm fighting with you guys." "Ah ah." The unarmed fishermen showed no resistance against the well-equipped pirates, and the unilateral massacre quickly came to an end. In just half an hour, a pirate group of over 100 people solved all the fishermen. The entire village was looted. Boxes of resources and barrels of liquor are loaded onto ships. Set sail. Mike Haiti stood at the bow of the ship, holding a bucket of freshly looted wine and pouring it into her stomach in large gulps. The oars cut through the quiet sea, creating waves and ripples. The pirates left with laughter and joy, leaving only endless silence behind them. The next morning, the sea breeze swept across the horizontal plain and swept into a small fishing village. After a night of blowing, the bloody smell in the air almost dissipated. Lynch, no, it should be called Lodi now. His full name is Smavenzi Lodi. A child who had just turned 6 unfortunately died tragically under the knife of a pirate. And his body, as well as the blurry almost fading memories, were inherited by the young Lynch from another world. Lynch, no, Lodi, through the scattered memories of that child, he still extracted some useful information and confirmed his current world and location. Born and raised in the pirate-infested world of Pirates King, located in a small fishing village on the border of an island called Pod-Aden in the West Sea. The villagers here make a living by fishing, and they live a decent life. Although they are poor, their basic needs are not a problem. Their remote geographical location has left them almost untouched by pirates. However, all peace was shattered last night. The ruthless pirate group rushed into the village like a bad wolf, demonstrating the cold-blooded and ruthless nature of pirates. The entire village was completely wiped out. The most ironic thing is that although the group of pirates left, they left a pirate flag at the beach, demonstrating their unique arrogance. The small fishing village has turned into a human purgatory, with corpses of fishermen left outside, limbs and arms severed, and blood withered and turned into dark red, soaking the earth. That is the result of several young fishermen's resistance, which is shocking. Rao, with Lodi's nature, almost vomited at the first sight of that tragic situation. Perhaps this is the most authentic world of pirates. Cruelty and ruthlessness are the style of pirates. Cough, almost died again. Luodi struggled to swallow the dry cake in his mouth, which was the food he had picked up from other rooms. At his chest, the palm-length blade was covered by 2 circles of gray cloth strips. Due to limited conditions, he could only handle the wound briefly. Although losing a lot of blood, thanks to the unique physical fitness of this world, Lodi is still barely able to move. However, he still plans to take a break first and sort out the information a bit. In the original owner's memory, there is a particularly profound taste, which is a strange-looking fruit flavor. It's like a stinky egg that has been sitting for over a month, rolling several times in the sewer and marinating for several days. Anyway, it tastes bad. It seems to have happened 2 days ago. In order to alleviate the burden on the family, the sensible little Luodi ran to the Gora forest located behind the small village to pick wild vegetables. Due to being too hungry, I ate a fruit with a strange shape. The specific appearance of the fruit was not found in Xiao Luodi's memory. But Lodi is 80% certain, maybe that's it. Devil fruit. Eating the devil's fruit allows the eater to acquire a certain special ability, but it will also be rejected by the sea and become a dry duck. The devil fruit can be broadly divided into 3 types. Superman, animal, and nature. Luodi cannot yet determine which kind of food his predecessor ate. But for now, no matter what fruit he eats, there is no harm to him. However, there is also an extremely bad situation. That is, has the death of the predecessor caused the demonic power to detach and be attached to other fruits? Luodi gradually fell silent, and then he slowly closed his eyes, held his breath and focused, trying to communicate with the demon power that still existed inside his body. About a minute passed. Just as Lodi felt disappointed, a strange change finally appeared. I saw pure black energy pulling out from his body's surface, eventually forming a black figure in front of him. That figure is an energy body, without a face, and is the same size as Lodi's body. And the most eye-catching one is the 1-meter-long black sickle in the hand of the figure. Is it the Grim Reaper? Is it here to harvest its own soul from another world? Luodi couldn't help but have wild thoughts. However, he found that the figure had no movement, and vaguely he seemed to feel a strange connection between himself and it. It's not a Grim Reaper, so. It seems to be the ability of that devil fruit. Next, let's see if we can command it. Luodi moved to a safe distance and attempted to give instructions to the figure with his mind. Wave the sickle. The figure paused for a moment before taking action for more than 10 seconds. I saw it holding the sickle handle with both hands and vigorously waving it forward. The black sickle slashed straight at the wooden wall, leaving a deep scratch like cutting vegetables. After waving its sickle, it seemed as if it had run out of energy, gradually dissipating its form, and then transforming into countless black energy strands flowing into Lodi's forehead. Buzzing, when the black energy completely flooded in, Lodi felt his mind blank, not knowing if it was his illusion. In that moment, it seemed as if the entire village was in his sight. It's like having a one-time experience. However, everything is not over yet. Chapter 2. Animal Series, Renren Fruit, Phantom Species, and Death God Form. You are listening at novel full.audio. When the last trace of black energy entered Lodi's forehead, the whole house seemed to be struck by a heavy hammer, trembling violently. That's not an illusion. Luodi clearly saw the empty bowl on the table beside him moving from the center to the edge. It was obvious that he had moved a distance away from him. I'm so tired. A severe sense of fatigue struck, and Lodi's legs softened. Coupled with his young body already injured, he stumbled and fell to the ground. The scar on the chest also slightly cracked due to the shock, and blood slowly seeped out. I'm so hungry. After exhaustion, there was a surge of hunger, and Lodi had to endure the pain and struggle to get up from the ground. With his tender hands stained with blood supporting the wooden wall, he stumbled out of the cabin to search for food in other rooms. That group of pirates came suddenly and went quickly. There must be food left in the small fishing village, maybe not much, but there must be. After searching for 2 houses, Lodi finally found some food. A small bag of coarse rice left in the corner and 2 pieces of dried fish that fell to the ground and had been marinated with coarse salt. Every household has clear water outside. Luodi casually found a stove and hastily steamed the rice with his remaining energy. Due to being too hungry, he quickly solved the problem with the dried fish. Feeling his strength slowly recovering, Lodi began to try again to use the power of the demonic fruit. However, it is unclear whether there was a deviation in the usage method, as there is a significant difference between this change and the previous one. There was no appearance of that energy body, and instead, strands of unknown black mist emerged. As if there were life, they entwined and coiled around him in a very intimate way. However, the changes are not limited to this. His hands gradually began to turn black, and his short black hair grew rapidly until he could barely stop at his waist. A black vertical mark appeared in the center of his forehead, and some strange black patterns appeared near his eyes. The Sickle of Death. Luodi lowered his head and looked at the black sickle that appeared in his hand at an unknown time. The sickle is pitch black all over, with its handle carved with strange textures. The blade is serrated, sharp, and captivating. At this moment, Lodi finally knew what the demonic fruit his predecessor had eaten was. Animal Series, Renren Fruit, Phantom Beast Species, Death God Form. Undoubtedly, animal species of mythical beasts are even rarer demonic fruits than ancient or even natural species. Its strength is beyond doubt. As for why did the previous energy body appear? He has no way of knowing. However, one thing is certain. He can use the power of the devil fruit. This alone is enough. Subsequently, Luodi lifted his grim Reaper form and his appearance returned to normal. Maintaining Reaper form requires a lot of stamina, and in his current state, standing without kinetic energy for 1 minute may take less than 10 seconds to move. In short, it is not long-lasting. The wound doesn't seem to hurt anymore. I don't know if it's his illusion, but Lodi actually felt that the wound seemed to have healed a bit. Let's take a look after eating. He shook his head slightly, then sat back in front of the stove, quietly waiting for the rice to come out of the pot. In that short while, his stamina was almost drained again. Luodi never expected that he could finish a whole pot of white rice. It has to be said that even children have a physique that cannot be compared to their past lives. With abundant physical strength, he untied the gray blood-stained cloth strip wrapped around his chest. What caught the eye was a palm-length blade that ran across half of the chest. Strangely, the wound had already formed a scar, not as terrifying as before. Can it be said that entering the Reaper form can also accelerate wound healing? With this mentality, Luodi entered the form of a god of death again. Suddenly, the black mist surrounding him pulled out a small patch and covered the wound. He only felt a slight itching at the wound. The wound is really healing. Almost simultaneously, Roddy was certain. But considering that this form consumed too much energy, he ultimately released the Reaper form. And this time, the wound is even better than the previous one. At least it won't affect his daily activities anymore. By the way, when I entered a state that seemed to be seeing, hearing, and seeing before, I seemed to feel a slight anger. Does it mean that there are other people alive here? It seems to be in that direction. Previously, due to hunger, Lodi temporarily forgot about the anger, and only then did he recall it again. There is a special family in the small fishing village. It is also the wealthiest family in this fishing village. Before they arrived here, they were merchants, but unfortunately they encountered pirates at sea and the entire merchant ship was directly captured. Under the cover of the guards, the family drifted to this small fishing village on a small escape boat. Perhaps because they were tired of the fear and unease of maritime commerce, the family decided to live a peaceful life and settled here. It is said that merchants are heavy on profit, but it is difficult to find their manifestation of heavy profit through the memory of Luodi. The host family are all kind people. Occasionally, children from the village come to their home to play, but they are not rejected. Instead, they will serve some delicious dim sum for the children to eat. The couple has a daughter with a good personality, gentle, without the wildness of a fishing village child, so everyone is still willing to play with her. Searching for vague memories, Luodi arrived at the small Western-style house located at the end of the fishing village. The originally exquisite flower and plant decorations around were torn and tattered due to the search of pirates. At the entrance, on the dry and dark blood stains, a tattered corpse lay quietly there. Luodi approached and a smell of blood rushed towards him. He was stabbed more than 10 times in his body, and that tragic situation was simply unbearable to look at. Luodi closed his eyes, held his breath and focused, slightly moved the body to the side, and then walked into the room. If my previous feelings were correct, there are indeed living people here. Either it's the owner of this household, or there are pirates, or of course, it could be the surviving villagers of the fishing village. Of course, no matter what, Lodi has confidence to face it. Confidence is the fruit of demons. However, his movements became lighter and lighter, and he hardly made any sound as he walked. Being cautious is not wrong. If you can't beat it, you can still sneak in first. The inside of the house is more messy than the outside. After searching for it, Lodi stayed in front of the only big bed in the room. He heard faint breathing. It seems to be coming from under the bed. Following the sound, he slowly lay down. Through the faint light, Lodi saw a blurry and petite figure. Echo. For some reason, these 2 words directly entered his mind. After trying to call out twice, there was no response, so Lodi had to pull her out. The little girl was dressed in a delicate little dress, with long golden hair, and looked very cute. It is not difficult to see that she will definitely be a little beauty in the future. Hey, wake up. Aiku, wake up. Chapter 3. The Navy comes to set fire. You are listening at novel full.audio. Under constant calls, little Akam finally woke up. Are you? Lodi. Why did you come to play with me so early today? I haven't eaten yet. The soft voice revealed a hint of immaturity. Looking at the innocent and lovely little girl in front of her, Lodi didn't know how to answer her. However, time will not stop because Lodi doesn't speak. Some things, even if they are cruel, people have to face them. Hiss, it hurts so much. Xiao Aiku struggled to get up from the ground, and the pain coming from her neck made her frown. Mother, father. Without a response, little Akam slowly walked out. Luodi watched her leave without stopping, only letting out a deep sigh. The scene I will see later may have a significant impact on the young acorn. Ah. Father. Mother. What's wrong with you? Xiao Aiku pounced on her father. Why are you lying on the ground? It's cold on the ground, get up quickly. You must be pretending to be asleep, don't lie to me. Wake up quickly, sob up, don't you want Xiao Aiku anymore? Xiao Aiku promises you that you will never sleep or steal anything again in the future. Wake up quickly. The childish cries almost spread throughout the small fishing village. But no one responded to her. The 5-year-old girl felt despair for the first time. White clouds move back and forth with the sea breeze. The sun gradually rises until above the head, and the temperature on the ground gradually rises. Luodi arrived at the seaside with Zioako, whose emotions had stabilized. Here stands a pirate flag, which was left behind by the Iron Hand pirates when they left. Aiku, your parents knocked you unconscious at the last moment, sacrificed their lives to save you, and they only hope that you can live well. But I hope you must remember that it was the owner of this pirate flag who took away your parents' lives, and their actions must be engraved in your mind, don't forget. As you can see, this sea is so cruel. The weak can only shout helplessly, while the strong can take away others' lives. Aiku, do you want to keep going like this? Luodi's series of words left young Aiku unsure of how to answer, and she couldn't understand some things either. But she knows, she wants to become stronger, she wants revenge. Lodi, I want to gain powerful power, I want to avenge my parents. The great changes brought about by the pirates allowed the young Aiku to see what cruelty was and also gave her her own goals. Okay, let's become stronger together and seek revenge together. However, first of all, we need to let those uncles and aunties sleep soundly. Subsequently, Luodi took Aiku towards the back mountain. On the other side, a neat and orderly army slowly approached the small fishing village along the forest path. They are the 101 Naval Branch stationed in the capital city of Das St. Valen in the Kingdom of West Turkey. The leader is dressed in a white coat, with the word, justice, particularly I. catching on the back. Lieutenant Colonel Brecht of the Navy Branch, with a western knife pinned around his waist, is a skilled knife user. At this moment, he looked at the bounty in his hand with a headache. Dan McCarthy, like a mouse, don't let me catch you. Bibibi, at this moment, the phone worm suddenly rang. Moses, Colonel Brecht. Colonel dear. We must not disclose anything about that village, so I hope you can completely erase everything there. Is it for that damn face again? Does this still deserve the justice we bear? Brecht, remember, this is an order. Bye, the phone worm was hung up, and Brecht slammed the bounty to the ground, looking extremely ugly. What ridiculous justice! Standing for a long time, until the navy in the rear issued an inquiry, Brecht could only leave a helpless sigh and continue moving forward. He is powerless against the orders of his superiors. That poor small fishing village will eventually be destroyed. However, if there were still living people, Brecht would also provide help, perhaps to ease his guilty heart. 1 hour later, the sound of gunfire began to spread, and Luodi and Aiku, who were working hard to dig the pit, stopped their movements and looked behind them together. Black thick smoke surged into the sky from bottom to top, and even under the scorching sun, the flames in the small fishing village could not be concealed. However, when Lodi and Aikum hurriedly rushed back, they only saw the distant back of the navy and the wreckage of several burnt-out villages. Cremation. This approach may be able to prevent the disasters and epidemics caused by the decay of corpses, but for this village that was finally built, is it too cruel? On one side, Aiku collapsed to the ground, experiencing intense emotional fluctuations and over an hour of fatigue. Her body finally couldn't hold on and went into a coma. Luodi looked down and found that 2 lines of tears unconsciously flowed down the corner of Zioaku's eyes. Hey! Bending down to hold the petite body of the little girl in his arms, Luodi walked step by step towards the small Western-style house that had been mostly destroyed in the rear. After placing Xiao Aiku, Luodi found that the body that had originally been left here was missing. It seems to have been dragged by the Navy and collectively cremated. For the behavior of the Navy, Lodi is not easy to evaluate, but one thing is certain, that he will not join the Navy in the future. The shortcomings of the Navy are simply too obvious. One level is pressing down on the other level, and at the top of the head is the heavenly dragon man who does all sorts of evil. Be a dog for the Tianlong people. He really can't do it with Luodi. The house has been burned down, what should we do with the food? Now, the most serious problem has emerged. That's food. After much thought, there is only one solution. Hunting. To protect the safety of the small fishing village, villagers have set up several fences in the back mountain to intercept wild animals. And behind that fence lies the boundary where wild beasts abound. Gora Forest. Throughout the year, no one has set foot and nurtured countless wild beasts. Luodi uses the power of demon fruit while walking. Entering the Grim Reaper state, releasing, entering the Grim Reaper state, releasing. He tried again and again to ensure that he could enter the Grim Reaper form as soon as possible. Suddenly, a wolf howled in the mountains and forests, and Luodi was instantly attracted by it. Through the roots of the trees, he finally saw its appearance. The gray fur paired with a robust body over a meter long, and sharp teeth added a touch of cruelty to it. Its target was a rabbit, and the experienced jungle hunter made a perfect pounce, swift and sharp, with sharp teeth easily piercing the rabbit's snow-white neck. The rabbit only managed to pounce twice before losing any life. To be honest, so far, Luodi has only killed Kunkin, and he is somewhat at a loss when facing this fierce hunter. Body.De, not good. Accidentally, his hind foot broke a dry branch, and the crisp sound caught the attention of the grey wolf. It seems we can only compete. Faced with the rapid approach of the grey wolf, Lodi could only grit his teeth and prepare for battle. Chapter 4. The Special Sickle of Death. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Death Form. The battle was about to break out, and when the grey wolf was less than 4 meters away from Luodi, he directly entered Reaper form. At this moment, the grey wolf had already taken off and was about to pounce on his face. Luodi grabbed the sickle handle with both hands, twisted his waist, and exerted force with both hands, flashing a sharp knife light. Hot blood splattered Lotte's face. He underestimated the power of the sickle of death. The grey wolf's left leg was cut off directly, and its body fell heavily to the side. However, Luodi did not stop there. He gritted his teeth and stomped on the ground, causing his small body to jump over 2 meters high. The sickle of death in his hand, due to inertia, directly cut off the neck of the grey wolf. Surprisingly, it's so simple. Looking at the body of the grey wolf, even Lodi himself felt unbelievable. Entering the Reaper form, his physical functions have been strengthened to a certain extent. The sharpness of the Reaper's sickle far exceeded his imagination, but it consumed too much energy when waved. However, the demonic fruit that the original body ate seems to be more than that simple. It seems to have other effects. Looking back on the moment when I killed the grey wolf just now, it seemed that a warm current flowed down the handle of the knife towards my whole body, making my whole body warm and recovering to a certain extent. And, I don't know if it's his illusion. At that moment, his body was strengthened to a certain extent. Can it be said that when I use the sickle of death to kill a strong enemy, it can still feed back some strength to me? Forget it, let's forget about it for now. Let's continue to try a few wild beasts and we'll know. With this thought in mind, Lodi first unlocked the form of the Grim Reaper and continued to delve deeper into the forest. As for this dead grey wolf, please deal with it when you come back later. Of course, even if it's taken away, it doesn't matter. The power of the Grim Reaper form has been witnessed, and after that, food has not yet been easily captured. Not long after walking, Luodi met a big guy this time. Known as the king of the forest, this giant white tiger is over 2 meters long. Without any hesitation, Luodi directly entered the form of the Grim Reaper, and as the white tiger advanced, his Grim Reaper sickle also quickly swung out. And this time, he clearly underestimated the ferocity of the forest king. Although the sickle of death struck the waist and abdomen of the giant white tiger, its sharp claws did not stop, directly hitting Lotte's chest. The sharp claws covered the previous blade and left 3 deeper scars. And Luodi himself also flew backwards due to the huge force, but in the end, he was stopped by a big tree on one side, which was enough to stop. Pup, after all, it was the body of a child, with bones almost falling apart. Luodi spat blood foam at his mouth and stood up forcefully. Roar, the white tiger had a big incision in its waist and abdomen, and the intense pain drove it crazy. Its hind legs exerted force and flew towards Lodi. This time it is bound to tear this human little ghost to pieces. Get up. Luodi slammed his feet onto the ground, his body soaring and narrowly avoiding the icy attack. Immediately after, the body underwent another aerial reversal, and the sickle of death in the hand followed suit in a circle. Die for me. The blood-stained blade pierced through the sky, slashed fiercely, and embedded itself in the neck of the white tiger. At the same time, Luodi released the Reaper form, and the Reaper sickle disappeared instantly. The next moment, he entered Reaper form again, and the sickle returned to his hand, followed by a heavy slash. After switching several times like this, White Tiger finally couldn't bear it and collapsed to the ground. Luodi panted heavily and delivered the final blow to Bai-Hu. The familiar warm current flows from the handle to the 4 limbs and remains, continuously circulating until it completely disappears. Luodi clenched his fist. The strength has increased. This can be intuitively felt. For example, if his original strength was 1, but now it is at least 1.5, this growth can be said to be extremely terrifying. It's still a bit too much, but fortunately, the Reaper form can heal wounds, otherwise I might just be like my predecessor. The tiger's body was too large, so Lodi had to abandon a part and only took away 4 thighs. In order to leave here quickly, he did not release the Reaper form this time. In Reaper form, his speed is also extremely fast, 3 times that of a regular form. To be honest, at the moment he saw the white tiger, he was thinking of running away. But to his surprise, it rushed forward and didn't give him the chance at all. Returning to the dilapidated small villa, Luodi casually threw his 4 blood-stained tiger legs aside, and then washed his body and treated his wounds at the beach before entering the room. However, what came head-on was a petite figure. Aiku pounced directly into his arms. A series of blows made her subconsciously rely on her childhood friend in front of her. Woo-woo, Luo. Luodi, I thought you had left and thought I was going to be alone again. Luodi suppressed the pain in her chest and forced a smile to touch her head, soothing her unease. Alright, stop crying, I won't leave. But, my parents, uncles and aunts in the village, they all disappeared. Will you also disappear someday? I'm really scared, woo-woo. Uncle and aunt have only gone far away. As long as you grow up, they will come back to see you. Really? Really at the age of only 5, Akam was very fragile. The fire brought her to the brink of collapse again. Her daytime vows were lost in some corner, but only Lodi was her last straw. She wanted to hold on tightly. Aiku, you haven't eaten anything in a day. Let's go and have some food. Looking at the young Aiku, Luodi unexpectedly found his former shadow from her. In his previous life, his mother passed away early, and his father raised him alone. Later, due to overwork and illness, he passed away when he graduated from university. Although he left with a smile, that night, Lodi cried very sadly. Undoubtedly, compared to him, Acorn is even more miserable. This made him unable to help but feel a hint of pity. Moses, Colonel Breck, have you dealt with it thoroughly? Breck was returning with the Navy when the phone worm suddenly rang. He took a deep breath and suppressed his anger. It's done, there's no survivors. Dill laughed heartily. Well done, you should come back quickly too. There's something else you need to handle here. Blatch agreed with a gloomy face, and then hung up the phone worm viciously. Damn dear. Darkness is everywhere, even the self-proclaimed righteous Navy finds it difficult to escape. Night is quietly approaching. The sea breeze carries salty and humid air currents, blowing along the coast. The sea waves washed away the rocks one after another. On the coast, a bonfire lit up two lonely hearts. Luodi, it smells so good. What kind of meat is this? It's really delicious. When you become stronger, you will know. Follow me to exercise tomorrow. Well, I don't want it. It will make me ugly. Do you still want to see your uncle and aunt? Think. Then follow me to exercise. Okay. Luodi nibbled on the roasted tiger legs and chatted with Aiku beside him without a word. Time is still long, revenge, he will one day seek revenge, even if it is not his parents, even if they have not been together for a day. Chapter 5. Transient 4 years. You are listening at novel full.audio. The year 1512 in the Hyuan calendar. Time is like a white horse passing through a gap, fleeting in an instant. 4 years of time is neither fast nor slow. Luodi and Aiku persist in exercising every day without stopping. Nowadays, at the age of 9, Aiku is already 1.5 meters tall. After a long period of exercise, her originally fair skin has turned into a wheat color, healthy and full of vitality. Her delicate facial features, combined with a slightly immature face, are eye-catching. In 4 years, although ACO is still a little girl, her strength has become different from before. It's not a problem to fight a few fierce wolves alone. In addition, with Lodi's intentional or unintentional guidance, she covered her eyes to avoid attacks, and Aiku's reaction and perception abilities were greatly improved. Although she did not use sight and hearing, she also had some insights. As long as she continues to practice like this, combined with some kind of opportunity, she may be able to grasp the basic knowledge and skills. Compared to him, the 10-year-old Luodi is even more outstanding, with a height of 1.65 meters, a well-proportioned and just right figure, handsome features paired with divine eyebrows and eyes, and a handsome young man. After 4 years of long-term research and development, Lodi has basically become familiar with the power of devil fruit. He also figured out some things he didn't know before. Firstly, and most importantly, at the time of his original death, the demonic power did indeed leave his body, but halfway through it, he forcefully pulled it back due to his arrival. That is to say, half of the demonic power remained in his body, while the other half merged with his soul. He can unleash the demonic power in his soul and take on the form of an energy body he has seen for the first time. This part of the demonic power inherits the drawbacks of the demonic fruit, which is the fear of seawater. And when he released that part of the demonic power, he himself would not be afraid of the sea anymore. Rodi has tried this before. Of course, there are also drawbacks. Maintaining the externalization of that energy requires a lot of physical energy, and the strength of the body's deathly transformation will be greatly reduced. Luodi gave the energy body a name, the demon clone. The second point is that when the demon clone completely returns to its original form, it will generate soul pressure at that moment, similar to the effect of the overlord color. In addition, there is also the effect of seeing and hearing colors. After continuous attempts, even without passing through the demon clone, Lodi can still actively trigger it now. It can be said that he has initially mastered the dominant and visible colors. The third and very important point. When the sickle of death kills an enemy, it will feed back energy to the host and strengthen the body. Over the past 4 years, Lodi has continuously killed the beasts in the Gora forest, and his physical fitness has rapidly increased. Nowadays, even with his physical strength, he can kill a tiger with just one punch. His strong body prompted him to exercise his legs and pay more attention to speed. The Navy Type 6 shaver generates explosive reaction force by continuously stepping on the ground at high speed dozens of times within 0.36 seconds to move at high speed, appearing to disappear. After continuous training, Luodi finally mastered shaving. Actually, shaving is not difficult. When the physical fitness reaches a certain level, it becomes natural to use. The fourth and final point is the deification of death and semi-deification. Over the past 4 years, devil fruit has been continuously developed by Lodi. Just a year ago, the death robe appeared. The death robe is invincible by water and fire, fearless by thunder, and allows users to fly, which is a concrete manifestation of the initial mastery of the Reaper. After mastering the death robe, it represents the recognition of the devil fruit towards Lodi. And the semi-deathly deification came naturally. Half-dead deification allows Rodri to summon the death robe or the death sickle alone, which can significantly reduce stamina consumption. Finally, Luodi also comprehended some special skills that can only be demonstrated by the power of the Grim Reaper. 499049914992, 49995000, after completing 5,000 swings, Akam wiped the sweat off his forehead and ran eagerly to Lodi. Luodi, how long will we depart? Luodi wrapped a load around his feet, slowly got up, shook his legs, and looked at the sky again. Cloudless for thousands of miles, it is indeed a good weather for travel. Say goodbye to them, it may be difficult to come back in the future. For 4 years, Luodi and Aiko never left this small fishing village. Even Luodi, a stranger from another world, has developed a slight affection for this place. There is also an additional bond. Aiku, his sister in the heart. In fact, at first, Aiku didn't want to call her brother. Due to the suppression of force, she eventually compromised. After bidding farewell to the villagers, Lodi and Akam walked step by step towards the path where the navy left 4 years ago. Their destination is the kingdom of Sickle. For the future road, Lodi also has his own plan. Firstly, starting with pirate hunters, killing pirates earns rewards and accumulates wealth. Afterwards, let's talk about it later. The town of Delada is backed by the Gora forest and connected to the west gate of the capital city of Does St. Valen. Merchants, pirates, navies, etc. all gather here. The best place for latte without Bailey to gather intelligence is the bar. There are not many entertainment options in this world, and bars are undoubtedly one. Luodi, are you sure you want to go there? At the entrance of a bar, ACO pulled Lodi's arm and her face turned slightly red. It's not her fault for thinking too much. Just now, she saw an uncle walking in with a flamboyant woman in his arms, and even kissed her companion as he passed by. I haven't had any contact with any men or women, how can I tolerate this, just like a blank sheet of paper. Why don't you wait for me outside for a while? Luodi is also a bit embarrassed. Taking my sister to the bar, to be honest, I'm afraid it will harm the children. Forget it, I'll still be with you. I don't know if it's reassuring or something, but after struggling for a moment, Aiku still plans to go in with Lodi. Entering the bar, a strong aroma of tobacco and alcohol rushed in, and the chaotic conversation could not be stopped. Little brother, little sister, what would you like to drink? The bar owner is a kind-looking chubby uncle. However, do people who deal with pirates all year round have good people? All of this is probably just a disguise. We're here to find someone. Luodi didn't want to talk much, so he casually found an excuse to evade and then pulled Akam straight towards the inside. The chubby boss looked at the backs of the two and picked out the phone worm from below, whispering to someone. 120000 Bailey, Captain Lebar's bounty has risen again. If you ask me, it won't be a problem to cross the Western Sea in a while. Follow us Captain Lebar to enjoy delicious and spicy food, I'll do it first as a tribute. Take 1, brothers. In a daze of drunken eyes, a little pirate noticed Acom who had just walked in, and Ian smiled and whispered to the bearded man sitting in the center. Captain Lebar, look at that little girl over there, what's going on? The beard instinctively looked in the direction of his fingers. Upon closer inspection, it was a little girl. Then he took a strong sip of wine and smiled wickedly. You still understand me, go and catch me. Chapter 6. Captain Lebar. You are listening at novel full.audio. Born. Luodi, who had the ability to see and hear, naturally heard the conversation of several people. When he learned that the rough man known as Captain Lebar wanted to take action against the little girl Acom, an unnamed fire burst out. He has never been so angry before. Koer, we're ready to kill. Upon hearing these words, Acom was somewhat surprised, not afraid of murder, after all, he had just entered. However, she has killed over 100 wild beasts in recent years, and although it is the first time she has killed them, she has not opposed it. Besides, she will still seek revenge for her parents and commit murder in the future, but ultimately she will not be able to escape. Hands on. At the moment when the little pirate stood up, Lodi and Acom also moved. Shave. Luodi transformed into a black shadow and disappeared from his seat. On the other side, Captain Lebar was picking up his glass, but in a blink of an eye, a figure appeared in front of him. Before he could say anything, the figure suddenly appeared with a black sickle that was nearly 1.5 meters tall, holding its hands in a virtual grip. That's right, it's 1.5 meters, the sickle of death has growth potential. At this time, compared to 4 years ago, it is longer and more lethal. The person who came is Lodi. Ghost Sickle. Shock Slash. The Reaper's sickle swung fiercely and quickly withdrew as if releasing its power. The sudden burst of power mixed with the power of the Grim Reaper caused the air to rapidly shake, followed by a black slash that struck at an extremely fast speed. As soon as the slash arrived, Lebar rolled his eyes and collapsed on the sofa as if unconscious. From the appearance, Lebar appears intact, just like the visual effect of the slashing. But only Lodi knew that Lebar was already dead, and the blow just now shattered his brain. Then, in another instant, Luodi returned to his original position, and the entire process took place in less than 2 seconds, incredibly fast and almost unnoticed. Compared to others, Acom is not that fast. Oh, little beauty, our captain asked you to come over and accompany you. As soon as the little pirate approached, he was greeted with a deadly blade. Aiko slashed and patted without any hesitation, instantly solving it. Bang, Tib, whisper. Hey, Tib, what's wrong with you? A pirate drinking was startled by a loud voice and was about to scold, only to see his companion lying in a pool of blood. And the seemingly harmless little girl was holding a blood-stained knife in her hand. This is okay. The other members of the Lebar pirates were instantly shocked and angry. How dare you? Have even a little girl dared to provoke pirates these days? Do you really think they are vegetarians? MD, little girl, seek death. A pirate who had a good relationship with Taboo picked up a western sword on one side and slashed towards Acom with a fierce expression on his face. Aiko's face remained unchanged, his body slightly tilted and he easily dodged, and then he swung his knife and knocked over a pirate. Over the years, Aiko's targets in battle have been fierce beasts, and the level of danger alone is far beyond that of the little pirates in front of him who only know how to eat, drink, and play. At the age of 9, one's strength may not be comparable to that of an adult, but when it comes to skills, they are truly beyond the reach of ordinary people. Brothers, come on, let this little ghost see the strength of our Lebar pirates team. Leave a living room and treat her well later. Brother's big iron rod is very thick, please bear it. One pirate after another, pupi climb up. Aiku danced in the crowd, with a pirate falling to the ground every time a knife fell. As nearly 20 companions were about to be solved, the co-captain sitting next to Lebar couldn't sit still. Hey, Lebar, wake up quickly. He shook Lebar's body, but Lebar didn't react at all. How? How could it be that Lebar died? He leaned in slightly and was horrified to find that Lebar had lost his breath. Run. There are experts here. The captain, who was originally slightly intoxicated, broke out in a cold sweat, ignoring the lives of other pirates. Without saying a word, he lifted his foot and ran outside. Did you find it? Luodi raised his eyes slightly. So what? Ghost Sickle. Shock slash. The black slash pierced through the co-captain who had just stepped out of the threshold, but his body still crossed the hurdle. 1, 2, 3. Rodrigo counted 3 times, and a landing sound came from outside. At this moment, AI-Co wiped the blood-stained knife with the square cloth on the table and sat beside Luodi. It's my first time killing someone, and I'm not used to it. Luodi turned his head and saw that Aiku's pretty face was a bit pale. Imagine them as, animals. Maybe they can feel better. Besides, it's the first time, and some nervousness is normal. Aiku nodded and looked around again. Now that everyone has finished running, how can we gather intelligence? Or should we go to another bar? Luodi shrugged his shoulders, then stood up and walked to Lebar. Our goal has been achieved. The bar owner watched as Lodi and Akam left, touching the cold sweat on their forehead. 2 evil gods, they killed 1,200 million pirates. Fortunately, the person I called hasn't arrived yet, otherwise. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but shiver. The naval garrison in the town of Derived. This is a 600,000 Bailey bounty. Luodi took a stack of banknotes with a face value of 10,000 pels, glanced at them, but didn't count them, and threw them directly to Akam. Originally offering a reward of 1,200 million Bailey, Lodi only received half of the reward. Although the bounty list states that the value of a dead pirate is far lower than that of a living one, there is no doubt about this. Did you really kill Lebar? The young navy still couldn't believe it, and the same words were repeated 3 times. Are these 2 people currently only 11 or 12 years old at most? Can you really kill a pirate with such a high reward? For the navy, the current Lodi has no hostility, after all, who can't get along with money. However, it's hard to say in the future. It's uncertain that one day he will encounter the Tianlong people and kill 1 or 2 of them, and then he will inevitably be wanted. Seeing Luodi nod, the young navy rubbed their hands and asked tentatively. So, should we join our navy? However, Lodi left without turning his head back. Hey, wait a minute, I haven't finished speaking yet. After purchasing a few sets of clothes, thinking of the words of the young navy, Lodi couldn't help but ask Echo beside him. Koer, do you want to join the navy? This was a question that Lodi pondered for a long time before asking. Due to the constraints of his past life, Luodi yearned for the sea and wanted to go to different places to experience different landscapes, which often came with great risks. With AI-Co following him, he may only be able to live a life of licking blood on the edge of a knife in the future. On the other hand, the Navy is different. Although it is restricted by various rules and regulations, safety can still be guaranteed during the new recruits period, and it can also master various abilities. As long as one has good talent, they can learn the Navy's 6 styles or even their dominance. After completing the study, in the first half of the Great Voyage, self-protection can still be achieved. However, Akam firmly refused. No, unless you go too. Well, I'm afraid not. Didn't you say you would never leave me? Rodrigo, you shouldn't be lying to me, right? Do you have it? Yes, you can't get rid of me anyway. Cough. At this moment, a carriage quickly drove over, with the driver dressed in silver armor, his face completely wrapped in a helmet, and the whip in his hand constantly waving. Drive, dodge. Behind it, a group of people who looked like mafia were riding horses and chasing quickly, with bullets constantly firing from the muzzle. Occasionally, a few unlucky people on the roadside get shot and fall to the ground in pain. Chapter 7. Princess Fina. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Get out of my way, don't get in the way. Suddenly, a burly man holding a giant axe rushed up from behind the mafia team, and his massive physique directly overturned a mafia member along with the horse under his crotch. Run quickly, they are the traitors. Surprisingly, he was the second in command of the underground forces traitors, known as the Giant Axe Knight Fa. It is rumored that he once killed a pirate offering a reward of millions with one axe, and even destroyed warships. The navy on top never survived. Why did he appear here? And who are they pursuing? That's the royal emblem. The icon behind the carriage in front is actually from the Sitka royal family. Oh my god, what exactly happened? Big news, is the betrayer chasing members of the Sitka royal family about to change? As the giant axe and the royal carriage departed, the entire street became restless. Koor, let's go, let's follow up and take a look. With the addition of a black robe, Luodi entered a semi-deathly deity. Then, he wrapped his hand around Aiku and lightly jumped onto the roof, then his body turned into a shadow and in the blink of an eye, he landed on another roof. There is a small road behind the town of Delata, which connects to the town of Alata. Not good. The captain of the guard driving the carriage, Cohen, immediately felt something was wrong. The carriage was shaking violently, as if it was about to fall apart. Immediately, he turned around and pulled open the car curtain. In front of him was a young girl wearing a delicate sky blue dress. The girl wore a white veil but couldn't conceal her stunning appearance. Princess, it's impolite. Feeling the carriage shaking more and more violently, Cohen gritted his teeth and embraced the young girl, jumping off the carriage with a leap. At this moment, the carriage fell apart with a loud bang, and the horses overturned on the roadside due to imbalance. Quickly, the mafia approached, and the leader, Netfa, dismounted from his horse with a giant axe shining in the sunlight. Ha, Cohen, where are you running now? I advise you to hand over Princess Fina honestly. I'm in a good mood and I'm not sure if I can save you half of your life. Shaking his axe, Netfa laughed and slowly approached. On the other side, Cohen straightened his waist and blocked Princess Fiona behind him. Don't be afraid, Royal Highness Princess, I will take you out of here safely. However, Princess Fina's beautiful willow eyebrows furrowed slightly, and a hint of sadness flashed through her starry eyes. After a moment of silence, she bit her silver teeth and tightly held onto Cohen's arm. Grandpa Cohen, let me go with him. Your Highness Royal Highness Princess, I beg your pardon. If you are caught by them, the kingdom of Sitka will be hopeless. Cohen shook off Princess Fina's hand, drew a sword from his waist and resolutely charged towards Netherfield. Stop, let me do it. Netfa waved his hand to signal his men not to attack and roared as he approached. The giant axe and long sword were in contact, and their strength was almost on par, making it difficult to determine the winner for a moment. No one knows, everything that happened here was captured by two outsiders. Luodi go, that person seems to be a princess. Do we need to go help? Aiku doesn't know how to hear the conversation between Fina and Cohen yet, but Fina's attire does look like a princess. Princess. Shit, let alone the princess. Even if the king is there, it has nothing to do with us. Of course, if that guard named Cohen has good strength and can win the Netflix, what if we go and make up for it? Pick up a favor for nothing, don't waste it. However, killing enemies can enhance strength, which is the most important for Luodi. Aiko nodded vaguely. Finally, the battle entered a white heat. After hundreds of moves of fighting, Netfa suffered 3 knife wounds on his body, while Cohen only had a hole in his armor, making it clear which one was stronger or weaker. Pop. Suddenly, Netfa snapped his fingers and his sturdy body took a step back. Bang, bang, bang. As if receiving some kind of command, the mafia fired, with each bullet accurately shooting towards Koan. Dang 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 dang. Koan also reacted quickly, blocking all the bullets with his long knife. At this moment, Netfa roared again and rushed forward, carrying a powerful axe that slid down against the long sword. After blocking several bullets, Koan struggled to catch the axe. Drink. Immediately, Netfa lifted his right foot and kicked Koan's left leg, then swung his giant axe fiercely and struck hard again. The sharp axe slashed through the armor and continued to penetrate, leaving a huge wound on Koan's chest. Upon seeing this, Princess Fina could only utter a mournful cry. Grandpa Koan. Ha! Koan let out a fit of anger, flipped his long sword in his hand and stabbed it straight. The most powerful blow was to pierce through Netfa's body. Damn it, shoot me. Netfa endured the pain and kicked Koan away, angrily scolding his subordinates. At this moment, a sudden change occurred. Ghost Sickle. Shock slash. The huge black slash almost covered the entire field and dissipated accurately in front of Koan. Bang, bang, bang. Netfa and the mafia members who were preparing to shoot fell one after another. In a daze, there seemed to be a conversation coming from a distance. Rodrigo, I don't even know how many to leave for me. Definitely next time. Next time again, every time you lie to me. A boy and a girl. Watching Latte and Akam approaching, Koan, half propped up on the ground, widened his eyes and struggled to get up, ignoring the pain on his body. At this moment, Princess Fina ran over and quickly helped him. Grandpa Koan, you're injured. Koan lifted his face armor, revealing his old face, with wrinkles that were the marks of time. Cough, it's not a big deal. He shook his head. The scene before him left him somewhat puzzled. Looking around, all the mafia, including Netfa, were lying on the ground with no signs of getting up. They seemed to have lost their breath, they should be dead. And the person who caused this scene is undoubtedly the young girl approaching. What was that black slash just now? Some flying slashes that only swordsmen can unleash. Koan had the privilege of seeing it when he was young. As soon as Luodi approached, he begged for his reward. Hey, Grandpa, we've solved all these people. What can you offer? Treasures or something more valuable? Princess Fina, who was only 13 years old, saw the young man suddenly appearing in front of her speak disrespectfully towards the person she respected, and immediately angrily shouted and scolded. What kind of old man? Listen up, this is Grandpa Koan, the captain of the Imperial Guard of the Kingdom of Sitka. Koan, on the other hand, was the person who had been with Fina the longest. She had already treated Koan like a grandfather from the bottom of her heart, so she couldn't bear being rude to him. However, Koan waved his hand, looked at Lodi, and took the conversation. Little hero, the princess is too young and immature. Please don't mind her impolite words. Let me solemnly introduce myself first. I am the captain of the palace guards of the kingdom of Sitkea, Koan. Next to me is Princess Sitkea, Badamo Fina. The strength displayed by these two people in front of him was extraordinary, and it seemed that there was no malice, so Koan did not conceal his identity. Echo interjected disdainfully. Is she young? Can she be as young as us? Previously, she had been thinking of saving the princess in front of her. Now, it seems that, dare to say Lodi go, she withdrew her previous thoughts. Haha. Luodi secretly chuckled to himself. After all, Aiku was still a little girl, with some childlike innocence still present. She even started to argue about her age. Chapter 8. The Minister Who Steals the Country. You are listening at novel full.audio. Koan ignored Akam and the little princess, his eyes fixed on Lodi. If I'm not mistaken, both of you use knives, right? The wound was slightly painful, and he paused for a moment before continuing. In fact, there are 2 extraordinary swords in the treasury of our kingdom of Sitka. The words were stirred up, and Lodi was also curious. What knife? Cohen's face darkened. 50 skilled swords, blowing wind and flying snow. According to different levels, knives are divided into fast knife, good fast knife, big fast knife, and supreme big fast knife. Knives of this level, such as the Lianquai knife, are priced above 10 million belly and often have a price but no market. It was not easy to encounter two good and fast swords in the West Sea, so Luodi asked. What are the conditions? Got the point. Cohen's cloudy eyes flashed with a gleam of light, but he effectively concealed it. As a reward for killing these mafia, hair dryers can be given to you, but currently, the situation in the palace is very complex, and it is difficult to retrieve hair dryers. Luodi's mouth curved slightly. If I want both knives, what should I do? I have a great appetite, but it's not impossible either. It depends on whether the young man in front of me has that ability. Cohen lowered his head and pondered slightly. After a long time, he slowly spoke up. In fact, the kingdom of Sitka is facing a major crisis, and the left minister, Rihaku, is preparing to steal the country. He secretly allied with the underground organization, betrayers, and kidnapped the families of loyal courtiers in order to control them. Over the past decade of painstaking efforts, he has gradually resolved some unstable factors, and his reputation among the public has also improved. There were no opponents of him in the palace, and the common people were very satisfied with him. At this time, what would happen if His Majesty the King unfortunately passed away? Then there will be only your Royal Highness Princess. Your Royal Highness Princess is your only blood, but your Royal Highness Princess has a marriage engagement with the Prince of neighboring Cronia, which was initiated by the left minister Rihaku 5 years ago. At that time, His Majesty the King, under the guidance of Rihaku, received the visiting little prince of the kingdom of Cronia and was very impressed with him. The little prince also timely proposed the idea of marriage, and the young princess didn't know what marriage was, so she reluctantly agreed. This morning, if the Royal Highness Princess had not overheard the news that Rihaku stole the country and planned to send her to Cronia, everything would have ended. Speaking of which, Cohen wiped the corners of his eyes, tears falling down at some point. Princess Fina, who was supporting him, also lowered her head slightly and sobbed softly. Stealing the country. What a big deal. Luodi wrapped his hands around his chest and frowned slightly. So, that left minister not only has connections with the betrayer, but also has some kind of transaction with the kingdom of Sionia. It seems that it's a bit difficult to get those two knives. Cohen's face showed a sad expression. That's right. Luodi walked back and forth, suddenly lifting his head. That left minister has been plotting for a long time and is involved in various forces. The energy behind it is unimaginable. What do you rely on to resist? Cohen gritted his teeth and said. My direct troops have 3,000 people, they only follow my instructions. Luodi sneered. Is that all? Maybe your direct troops were already under control when you ran away. Cohen remained silent for a long time, and Wenxing said. Our kingdom of West Turkey is a member country of the world ZF, and they will definitely provide us with help. Rodi continued to refute. But it involves the kingdom of Cronia, they are also franchise countries, right? Will the world ZF still manage it? Cohen had nothing to say, basically all the roads were blocked. After a long silence, Lodi spoke. Actually, I can help you. But there's a condition. Cohen immediately lifted his head, and his originally slightly pale face flushed with excitement. What conditions? Only after experiencing despair do we realize how precious hope is. Cohen had no idea that the young man in front of him would deceive him. Because he has that strength. Swordsman. These two words alone are enough to rank among the peaks of the West Sea. For a day, let the people of the kingdom of Sitka know that the left minister Rihaku was preparing to steal the country, and let Princess Fina come forward to prove that the organization had been suppressing the troops. As soon as this sentence is spoken, Cohen, however, was somewhat troubled. How can I ask your Royal Highness Princess to come forward? Just as he was about to further negotiate, Princess Fina, who had remained silent, suddenly stood up. Sure, we agree to your conditions. But. Alright, Grandpa Cohen, stop talking, it's settled. Aiko wrinkled her small nose and hummed. Is that how you look like a princess? Luodi stood on the side, laughing but not speaking. As far as he is concerned, in this relatively weak Western Sea, even if he were to confront a country on his own, he would not hesitate. After slaying enemies, the Reaper not only strengthens their body but also replenishes their stamina. In terms of prolonged combat, it can be said to be quite a bug. However, it is necessary to occupy Dei if we want to confront the popular left minister of this country. Although he doesn't care, Lodi doesn't want to carry an inexplicable reputation. Even if you want to carry it, you have to be a member of the royal family of this country. After all, it was they who made themselves take action. He won't care about the consequences. He is only responsible for fighting, to become stronger. Recently, his strength has basically stagnated, and this sudden war is a timely reign for him. The Kingdom of Sitka. Capital, does St. Valen. Palace. In a secret room. The dim yellow light reflected two figures. The figure with a shorter stature was tapping on the table, with a faint and clearly irritable sound. Haven't you heard from Princess Fiona and that old guy yet? The tall figure emitted a wisp of white smoke. Netva discovered their whereabouts and should be able to bring them back soon. The dwarf figure slammed the table fiercely. Do you know how long I've been planning? 10 years, a whole 10 years. I've been keeping a low profile all day and having to maintain my external image. I've had enough of it. At the critical moment, that dead girl even came out to cause trouble. I really wish I could cut her to pieces. The tall figure flicked the cigarette ash and said calmly. Rihaku, don't forget your identity. You are just the dog of His Majesty Lipland. Even if you become the king of the Kingdom of Sitkea in the future, you will always be just a dog. Take a good look at yourself, don't think too high of you. Your Majesty Lipland can lift you to this position, and correspondingly, he can easily pull you down. Don't do anything too outrageous. Based on years of friendship, this is my final advice to you. The tall figure slowly stood up and pressed the unfinished cigarette butt on the back of Rihaku's hand, then walked straight out. Hiss, Rihaku took a cold breath and the cigarette butt burned the back of his hand black, causing the pain to spread rapidly. After confirming that the person had left, he kicked the table over with one foot. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Phaser, how dare you treat me like this? Who do you think you are? One day. I will kill you all, wait for me. The two people talking in the secret room are the left minister Rihaku and the leader of the betrayer, Phaser. Chapter 9. Vibration. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There is an orphanage in Alada town that specializes in adopting orphans. The dean is an old lady with white hair all over her head. It's hard to believe that she used to be Princess Fiona's wet nurse. Grandma Agus, I'm here to see you. Inside, Princess Fina, who had a great relationship, was chatting with Dean Agus about the past. Outside, Akam is playing with the children. Luodi was drinking tea. It's been a long time since I felt so comfortable. Looking at Aiko with a smile like a flower, he couldn't help but sigh. Aiku is still a little girl. On the side, Cohen also took a sip of tea. Aren't you only 10 years old? However, you're really mature. If you don't look at your appearance, you're just an adult. Rodi shook his head. You have no idea what I went through. A whole village was slaughtered by pirates, it's hard not to be mature. Although Luodi himself did not witness the slaughter, the tragedy of the village is still vividly remembered. Alright, let's not talk about this anymore. Have you figured out how to notify the whole country? Cohen never expected the young man in front of him to have such a tragic experience, but he didn't continue to ask. It's already being implemented, just wait and see. Time flies by rapidly, and a conspiracy that has been woven for several years envelopes the entire kingdom of Sitkea. Outside the port town connected to the south gate of the capital city, more than a dozen ships quietly approached the coastal port. Mafia parties wearing black suits stood on the deck, each equipped with sophisticated weapons, either knives or guns. Without a doubt, this is a well-trained team. On the main ship, the three leaders of the betrayer, Simanton, jumped directly onto the harbor. Behind, the deputy quickly spoke out to block. Lord Smanton, Mr. Phaser shouted to us not to act rashly. Manton pressed down on the brim of his hat, and a slightly lazy voice came. Oh my, it's okay. I'll only take action tomorrow. I've been addicted to two things. As soon as the words fell, the person disappeared without a trace. The deputy helplessly touched his forehead. Gambling again. On the other side, the capital city of the kingdom of Sitka, Duswa St. Lan. Carter, are you ready? What about Xena's side? Everything is ready. Okay, I'll count 123, then connect to the projection phone worm together, and then run straight to find the dean's grandmother to get along. Received. 1, 2, 3, run. The projection phone worm placed in the shadow was suddenly connected, and small figures rushed in and out of the crowd, quickly disappearing. Virtual large screens appear in various places, streets, bars, squares. Is this a projection phone worm? I remember that thing wasn't installed here. Above are Captain Cohen of the Guard, and Faye. Princess Fina. Two figures appeared on the screen, it was Fiona and Cohen. Princess Fina and Captain Cohen appeared together. Is something big going to happen? Who knows? Something important should be announced. Princess Fina is so beautiful. Jia, since she is a princess, she should be very valuable. On the screen, Fina leaned sideways, as if confirming something, then nodded before turning her head to face everyone. Ladies and gentlemen of the kingdom of Sitkea, I am Vadimo Fina. I have a few important things to announce next. Almost all forces have noticed this sudden change. 101 Naval Branch. Upon hearing a knock on the door, Colonel Blatch, who was organizing the documents, stopped his hand movements. What's going on? A young Navy officer walked in. Report, Colonel Blatch, it's Princess Fina who has appeared. The journalist from the World Economic News Agency, AMO, kept taking photos with an excited expression. Stealing the country. This matter must be notified to Boss Morgans. Then he quickly took out the phone worm. Moses. In the palace of Sitkea, Rihaku impatiently answered the continuously ringing phone worm. What's going on? Tell me quickly. A slightly panicked voice came from across. Rihaku, it's not good, there's an accident. Outside the port, pirate ships carrying different pirate flags slowly approached. They have just received a message from their subordinates, ready to take a share of the pie. More and more forces are participating. The entire kingdom of Sitka is in the eye of this storm, and a major war cannot be avoided. TSK, I forgot about this one. There's something called the projection phone worm in this world. Everything that happened on the roof and below was seen by Lodi. He came here to see how Fina and Cohen were preparing, but he didn't expect to see this scene right now. However, it's really a bit surprising that the children in the orphanage should do such a thing. Nowadays, the city gates and guards in the kingdom have definitely been replaced. If you want to place telephone worms in the city, it will definitely not be possible to have Fina and Cohen come. Compared to adults, the probability of children being suspected is extremely low, and they can easily infiltrate the royal city. As for trust, there is no need to worry about it. The director of the orphanage is Fina's wet nurse, and they have been together for nearly 10 years. Their relationship cannot be summarized in just 1 or 2 words. Seeing and hearing the colors, almost no one can escape Lotte's perception. He noticed that more and more powerful people seem to be surging around him. Mafia, Navy, pirates, there are more and more people, it seems there will be some fun tomorrow. When Lodi receives the fruit of the death devil, slaughter is inevitable. The more you kill, the stronger you become. However, what he will carry out will be the massacre that occupies Dei. Everything is under control. Tomorrow his strength will reach another height. The capital city of Sitkea is called Does St. Valen. The capital city has 4 main gates, namely the East Gate, West Gate, South Gate, and North Gate. Each gate is connected to a small town. The North Gate leads to Port Town, the West Gate leads to Delata Town, and the North Gate leads to Alata Town. At this moment, 3 carriages were speeding towards the North Gate. Agus, who was driving, was startled by the sudden appearance of a figure. "Grandma Agus, it's me." Luodi's voice was gentle, signaling her not to be nervous. "So it's you, it scared my old body." "No, why are you here?" Until then, Agus suddenly realized why Lodi appeared here. Isn't he supposed to be in Alata town? Luodi smiled lightly, but his hand pointed forward. "Grandma Agus, you should have a clear understanding of the situation in the capital city. It's not easy to pass through the gatekeeper's area. If you don't believe me, please take a closer look." Looking up, one can clearly see that the huge North Gate is very crowded. There are many people who want to come in and many people who want to go out. This has led to congestion at the city gates. And this situation is also the easiest to cause riots. Just like now. "Bang, MD, don't want to live anymore, dare to squeeze me." Someone couldn't help but shoot. A person shooting often triggers a chain reaction. Bang 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 bang. More and more people are shooting and turning the city gates used for passage into battlefields. Chapter 10. One-Eyed Marty. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Luodi sat in the rear passenger seat, looking ahead with great interest. "Grandma Agus, why don't you find a safe place to stop first? You won't be able to leave for a while." Agus also understood this truth, but as time passed, the entire royal city would become increasingly dangerous. Pirates, mafia, and even human trafficking groups gather here. She doesn't have much to worry about herself, what she's afraid of is the group of powerless children behind her. However, there is no way out, it is impossible to break through by force. Agu, Aying, find a spot to stop. Agu and Aying were temporary drivers for the other 2 carriages, as well as children adopted by Agus more than a decade ago. Now that they have grown up and are able to take care of themselves, they have never left and have always been with Agus. "Okay." I casually found an empty alley, and Agu and Aying drove their carriages in front and back, with Agus following closely behind. In the end, the 3 carriages stopped in a row. And the sudden stop alarmed the children inside the carriage. At Agus's signal, Agu and Aying helped to calm down. At that moment, a group of people and horses walked along the street. Roughly estimated, there are 30 to 40 people. From their attire, it is not difficult to see that they are a group of pirates. The leader is a one-eyed dragon, yes, just one eye. A small servant ran to his side in 3 steps and 2 steps. Boss, you, look over there, there's a carriage, you want it, don't want it, grab it, grab it." Talking is stuttering, and it sounds like it's exhausting. The burly one-eyed dragon dug out his ear, obviously feeling a bit impatient, and kicked him aside. Get out of here, then, you, and you, come over and grab the carriage inside for me. The Cyclops casually pointed at two pirates. Yes, boss. Two pointed little pirates carrying knives walked towards the alley with a strange smile. Shave. Luodi flashed up to the two of them and blocked their way. Two of you, where are you going? Do you want me to give you a ride? Two little pirates were startled. Upon closer inspection, a mischievous little ghost appeared in front of me, with no hair even stretched out, and then instantly became angry and embarrassed. Dare to provoke us, little devil, I see you're just trying to die. Don't be too aggressive, those with missing arms and legs won't sell for a good price. That's right, then it's light. Luodi couldn't listen anymore and suddenly raised his right hand, his index finger bent, and with a gentle flick, an invisible wave of air surged forward like a bullet. Bang, the sound came to a sudden halt. You, what did you do? The little pirate was taken aback, only to find that his companion was nowhere to be found. Turning his head again, he saw that 6 or 7 meters away, he was lying quietly on the ground, falling into a deep sleep like a baby. Help him shut his mouth. Luodi blew on his fingers, feeling slightly hot. The blow just now, he referred to it as a glimmer of sky. The index finger and thumb rub against each other with great force, instantly rolling the air, and then guided by the power of death, striking forward in a perfect straight line with enough power to penetrate through the wood and stone. The little pirate took this blow and probably had his body pierced through. Just 2 words, transparent. You, wait for me, boss, it's not good. Not to mention, the remaining little pirate is quite clever. Seeing that the situation is not right, he quickly notified his boss. This is much smarter than someone who only knows how to do it with their head covered. Don't worry, take your time one by one. Luodi raised his hand and another line of sky popped out. The little pirate's body was penetrated directly, but it didn't stop there. Instead, it seemed like it was stuck by something and flew straight ahead. Get out of here, trash, you can't handle any small things. The one-eyed dragon was extremely angry and kicked him aside with 1 foot. At this moment, Luodi walked forward calmly. One-eyed Marty, captain of the one-eyed pirate ship, offering a bounty of 2,000 million Bailey. There are many bounty lists posted at the entrance of the bar, and Lodi has taken them down one by one, among which is one-eyed Marty. The pirate offering a reward of 2,000 million Bailey can already occupy a place in the West Sea. Pooh, little devil, let me teach you how to write, die. Marty exhaled the almost finished cigarette from her mouth onto the ground, but her right hand leaned behind her. Bang 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 bang. A combo pistol was already in hand, and 4 shots were fired. In an instant. The bullets are precise and sharp, shooting at the joints of the limbs. However, Luodi lifted his right hand, as if there was a strange force field, with each bullet stationary and hovering in mid-air. Go. With a light wave of the palm, the bullet fired in the opposite direction at a faster speed. Marty is truly a pirate with a bounty of 2,000 million Bailey, and he reacted surprisingly quickly. He leaned back and narrowly avoided it. Are you a devil fruit power? Standing straight again, a cold sweat oozed from his forehead. Who is the most difficult to deal with? Belonging to those who possess various bizarre abilities of the devil fruit ability. Moreover, the gun is Marty's most skilled weapon, and bullets can be bounced back. How does this make him fight? To deal with you, I don't need to use the power of devil's fruit yet. Coincidentally, let's try my current physical strength with you. After 4 years of training, combined with the power of the Reaper's sickle, Lodi's physical strength is basically comparable to that of a rear admiral in the Navy headquarters. Shave. Underneath the wind, Luodi's body turned into a shadow, moving so fast that it was almost impossible for the naked eye to capture. Damn it, people. Marty looked left and right with only one eye, and could only barely see a dark shadow. Behind him, his subordinates collapsed one by one. Screams of agony echoed one after another. Ah, die for me. Bang 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 bang. Watching the last subordinate fall to the ground, Marty's eyes were bloodshot, clearly furious to the extreme. Then he pulled out a gun from his waist, and the two guns in his hands were constantly shooting into the air. Hoo-hoo. When the last bullet went empty, Marty had some difficulty breathing due to emotional excitement. Finally dead. Well, those pirates are all dead. The voice came from behind, and Marty's body trembled. Then, she suddenly twisted her body and kicked her genitals with a very vulgar kick. Pa, Luodi lifted his foot to block it, then slapped it with his right palm. Marty was like a bowstring pulled by a tremendous force, and her body flew backwards like a shell. At the moment when his consciousness completely dissipated, his body seemed to remain in place. The 2000W pirate is not difficult to deal with, but the bounty may not be easy to obtain. The 101st branch of the Navy stationed in the Royal City is probably in disarray now. Returning to the alley, Agus glanced at Lotte without saying anything, then turned around and walked towards the carriage behind him. But Luodi knew that Agus probably saw the battle just now. As for why not ask? This is probably related to the conversation between Agus and Fina.